Well, good day, Grant. I just messed up with the countdown.
Oh, never mind. I was expecting the 5, 4, 3,
Yeah, I
2,
can
1.
just throw it in, but that's like, okay, now we are here. Just
Well,
messing up. Yeah, it's great to
there's
see
nothing
you.
like being thrown in the deep end, is there, my friend? So,
Yeah, it's really good to see you. Like it was already 4 weeks ago, we had our last conversation in the Pioneer and the Futurist. A
yeah,
lot of
it's gone
things
so quickly.
happened at your end of the world, uh, my end of the world. We're not that far apart, but it is still a lot of things are shaking and moving. So it will really be great to connect with people. So in our conversation to just like use the options that you have through YouTube or the Facebook page group where you see this video and
Yep.
interact with us. Ask your questions, confirm, or even maybe if you object to what we say, we love to have just include you in the conversation.
Yep.
So please use that chat option to connect to Grant or to me. And so, Grant, Mr. Pioneer, what is on your mind? It sounds good, doesn't it, Mr. Pioneer?
I'll change my surname to Pioneer instead of Vipers. um, yeah, we were touching before we came on and went live. We were touching on the topic of the frustrations that we can find ourselves in when we are not achieving and seeing the things that we desire, that we have planned out, that we have mapped out, start to take shape. And that can be really soul destroying if we allow it to. And one of the conversations that went on the Pioneers Facebook page yesterday was from a friend who is based in Ireland, and he was sharing his frustrations with regards to working with individuals, working with business partners, working with others that may not share your values or share the direction that you're going in, what for whatever reason, whether that's fear, whether they have their own agenda, whether they have their own direction in life, but you are together working under the umbrella of an organization, but you have the desire to go in a direction where the other person isn't. Now, he was asking the question, well, what do you advise? This is a scenario. What would you do in this situation? And that really struck me about, and I was posing one or two options for him to take, whether that you grin and bear it, you stick it out, or you break away and you continue pursuing what you feel that you should be going in the direction you should be going in. And another friend jumped on and added a third option about waiting and actually the power in waiting. There could be something at the end of it that we haven't seen by waiting and by going through that process, enduring, not enduring as such, but dealing with the testing, the refining, the pulling, the friction as well that can actually be beneficial to us if we're moving forward. We want to move forward. It could be an opportunity for us to stop, think, reflect, contemplate actually where we are. What is it I'm doing? What is it I want to achieve? Where am I going? And is this right? I think sometimes when we are pioneering something or we're pushing for something specific, we could be going at it at such a rate of not such speed that we forget about the bigger picture, where we're going. We miss the wonderful things along route, the opportunities to meet new people, make new acquaintances, because we are so focused on one destination and we forget about the bigger picture or what's around us. So by waiting and allowing that process to refine us, to bring us to a place of, okay, I didn't realize that. Maybe I'm doing it the wrong way. Maybe the thoughts that I'm having around this aren't right. And maybe I need to think more about, okay, what others might think, how others might see the picture where I'm going. Am I going in the right direction? We can stop and ask ourselves those questions and look really deeply inside and say, right, is this right? Is this the right way to go? And by someone rubbing up the wrong way, someone aggravating us, we can stop and look at those areas in our life and think, okay, is this
Hmm.
definitely right? So that was a really good
But
discussion.
it's also a question that really touches the heart of many things, and it's actually a discussion that is quite unclear, made by what I believe some wrong concepts. For instance, the concept is around for quite a while that you should surround yourself with people that share the same values. But that's the funny thing, because I guess that if we both make a list of our 100 values that we carry, that probably the lists include nearly the same values.
Yeah.
So shared values really don't make the difference. Actually, shared values are very dangerous because shared values create already like a modern day tradition. Because if your values shift, and people say, well, how can values shift? Well, one of the easy things is most of our values are actually not values. Most of our values are what we call beliefs, and beliefs are rewritten by events.
Mm.
So you have to find out what your number one core value is and understand that all other values actually compete to become number one. And I want to be in a team where actually my other peers have another core value as number one, because that gives the colorfulness, that gives the reflection, the pushback, the encouragement. So for instance, if Grant, if yours is as a pioneer, I just make one up, adventure, my core value is freedom. Let's come together, understand that we have different needs, different value, but it makes the whole picture colorful, but it also demands maturity. So what I hear in this question is actually that people have a different perspective, have a create different mental image
Yeah.
of what they talk about. Then I always suggest get the image in front of you that you both see the same thing. Make sure that the timelines are the same, because I've worked with businesses and helped them and leadership teams to get their vision clear. But then we also had to look at milestones. I tend to go away a bit from goals, because a goal is not always to achieve. Sometimes a goal is just a beacon on your road. So it's like navigation beacons, and you don't touch beacons, you just pass them and focus on the next one. So goals can be achievables, but goals are never the goal. Goals are always the milestones to get you on track and get you forward focusing. But I've noticed that everyone has a different horizon based on the same shared vision, which means some people have this vision and look only at the next 10 days, and someone else looks already in a time frame of 10 years. So you have to align that horizon perspective, that you have the same expectation on the time frame you want to achieve or reach certain elements. And then I think it asks for maturity, but actually maturity, I believe, is the invitation to go away from being an infant. And all of society really loves to have, it's the power play structure. Keep the people dumb, keep the people quiet. And you see, if you understand how those mechanisms work, you see them applied everywhere around through media and our governmental leaders speaking. But we have to grow up and understand it's valuable to have people with different opinions, but you need to have the same purpose while you are running together, which means you are both in the team, and the results of a team is beneficial for everyone, which is in a lot of leadership structures already. But I'm not, I'm in here for the greater good. The greater good, again, is power play. You're not in it for the greater good. You're not in it for we. I said to my wife today that we have a we, but with all other people who are out there, I have a you and I, because I run with them so that they and me grow, which always means I'm in a team for personal development.
Mm.
I'm not in a team to give my resources and be paid. and then find out on the way the door to the door at 5, I find out, oh, that was my identity, oh, that was my life goals, oh, that was my purpose, and then take it with me back home. Haven't worked on it during the day. But then I need a place that's meaningful, purposeful, rooted in shared purpose. um, and just understand your need. Like one of the people in my mastermind, he said, every relationship is like dancing the tango. Well, I'm not a dancer, but what I understood from him is, yeah, that was really funny. So David, if you're listening, I really love how you explained that. He said the tango is actually about that both, when they dance around them, they both got their needs met. And he translates that very powerful to your buyer, your customer is not your enemy. You have needs to be met, they have needs to be met. See it as a dance where both needs are met. I think that's just an illustration of everything you have a relationship with. If it's shared purpose in a team, if it's between teams, it's between supplier and customer, make sure that you keep dancing and addressing both their needs so that it's a win-win for both. So be in it to win.
Yeah, I think that leadership is about, or a fraction or a small part of it, it's about juggling other people's expectations and different personalities, their uniqueness, and bringing and being able to embrace it and bring it all together, as you say, for a shared purpose. Because at the end of the day, you've all gathered together for a specific reason because you believe in something greater than yourself and you're pushing for that.
Mm.
And I think when you are starting out in something, when you are building something, when you have the vision for an organization, a business model, a community project, a charitable good, whatever it might be, and you're the one with the vision, it is then very easy to bring in people, like-minded individuals that share your vision, that buy into what you're saying, and bring people around you that may not necessarily challenge you going forward and not bring the best out of you, because you have handpicked them, or they've come to you and you have then said, yes, I'd love you to come on this journey. And you bring them together and you build yourself an organization around you where everyone is of similar mind. And therefore, I think you have stopped giving them that authority from that, or that permission from that moment to speak freely and to challenge you. But I think if you are then seeking, or you work for an organization, then it's made up already of different people and you walk in, but you have a specific then vision and direction to go in. You are then going to be wrestling with different personalities, different mindsets, different expectations, different goals. There won't necessarily be a shared value that you're going after, because they're there. They've gone through history in that organization. They're happy where they are. They don't like change, but you can see the bigger picture, and you come in fresh eyes, and that is one of the hardest things to do, where you see the benefit of going in a specific direction to the health of that organization and the individuals working within that. You can see the bigger picture. And I think those that with a futuristic mindset or pioneering mindset or a prophetic mindset can see ahead further than others. And it's how you then bring those onto that journey with you, those that can end up sharing that vision that you have, believing in that and working towards that goal with you without bringing frustration, angst, pain, and hurt into that environment. And I think that can be very difficult to do, because I don't know where this friend who's posted on the Pioneers, where he is with regards to this organization. I don't know the backstory, how it began. Did he then get a job? Has he just entered this organization? Did he found it and bring this person in, but this person no longer wants to go in that direction? So I think
Yeah, it's a good
they are
one.
the challenges.
Yeah, that's a good one. Like if you run your own organization, and then your organization is just a vehicle to get you actually from A to B, and probably that, and you need to have your future perspective. So a good vision talks about a future perspective that's not like the next, or not the better version of the now, but it's the next version. So you want to have people around you that actually or contribute to the vision or actually support the vision. So that's a level of trust. But the bigger your organization is, the more people are in there that actually they don't understand the vision, but they need to know what the vision is about. So at least that they talk about it, because when everyone talks about something, it starts to happen. That's a powerful tool that
Yeah.
IBM developed years ago. They made everyone inside and outside the company talk about the future status of the company because they knew if everyone talks about it, it will happen. Well, that's the creative power of new language. So you need to have that in your organization. So the people that just join your organization on any level, that at least they need to feel comfortable within the vision and have a place in a team where they share purpose with the other members of the team. That's a healthy setting. And in that perspective, you have the vision casters, you have the vision directors, you have the vision executors. They all need to have their place in the big thing. But and the organizational construct is just the vehicle. We should never forget that it's the vehicle for everyone to have the optimal place spot. And I always add to that for personal growth, because else you ask them their hands, not their head, and you will never get their heart. Like, no, they should be with the head, heart, and hands in your organization. And it must be actually beneficial for them to create shared results
Mm.
as a team. And I believe that is a missing link in many organizations, because we have so much talk about we need diversity. And then we appoint people from a minority, or we want equal men and women in an organization. Well, it's a matter of time. And then we want equal men, women, and those that are in between. That will never give diversity. That creates a huge tension and a huge mess. Diversity actually means that everyone has, in their uniqueness, gives their full color to the organization. So it's one big, colorful organization. So if we want to talk about using the rainbow as a sign, then I think that is the multicolor perspective. We all know from science that when we have a light beam and it goes to this prisma, then you get all the colors out of white light.
Mm.
So all the colors in your organization create that white light to the outside. And with all the colors and all the diversity and all the different perspectives and opinions, but experiencing shared purpose and having a common vision, it actually is a huge potential for growth. And then the vision, and I got that quote years ago from Chris Valentin, and he said something about vision gives pain a purpose.
Mm.
And we know it's a very old wisdom that people without vision perish. And it just makes sense. If people don't know, like, change is a constant. So don't talk about no change or whatever. Pain, if change is a constant, but it's always painful. So if you give pain a purpose, which is actually this development towards a vision, then actually people know, oh, that's why I need to pay this price. That's why I do have to do that hard conversation. That's why I need to do personal development and develop myself to get skilled in my talented areas instead
Mm.
of being just good at things that make me unhappy. So it all connects together and it's a huge blur of dynamics. But I think it starts with, who am I? What's my core value? I love that from Brene Brown. She talks about a lot about that, about, and actually I got it from her, that you only have one core value that's important. Find your number one. The rest is probably similar, but it's competing.
Mm.
It's like with focus. The more clarity you get, the more distracted you are. And it's life is hard, but
Yeah.
work is fun.
Yeah. And I think I think you touched upon something, and it's about communication. It's a lot of those individuals that fear change is because they've not been exposed to it or educated through it or walked through it with someone who's gone through that. That communication process has let that
Mm.
person down because they fear change because something may have happened in the past that was brutal, and as you mentioned, pain was painful for them, and they didn't see that actually that change could be beneficial and add value and propel them
Yeah,
and push them forward into greater things. And I think we, those that lead, those that are pioneering, those that are pushing for something, your preferred future, if we bring a lot of people with us, we've assembled. So we mentioned it before we came on the word tribe, our community or community around us, because we need community. We need to be a part of a group of individuals that are family. And if we don't communicate well, then actually change can be hard, but it can be great. And actually, we need to change in order if we're going to grow and pursue what we want to go after. Then we are going to leave people behind. We are going to hurt people because whilst we may embrace change, others may not. And as you say,
yeah,
diversity is key in any organization, anything that you're growing, because it brings color. And if we don't have color, if we don't have a wealth of experience, a wealth of knowledge, if we don't have other people's experiences in life that we didn't have come into that process,
yeah,
then we'll be very dull and we'll be extremely
yeah.
frustrated. And I saw something this morning that really struck me, which I think has relevance to what we're talking about. There's a gentleman that traveled the world with his then wife. He and his wife ended up divorcing. They traveled the world. They had a good time. They ended on a good note. But something drew him to a part of the world, and that was Guatemala. Every single time he traveled, he was pulled back to Guatemala. And so he set roots in a part of the jungle there, very remote, away from everything. There are certain tribes and people, indigenous, around that area. But he wanted to establish a community. He wanted to establish a way of living that wouldn't just be for him, but he could then invite others in. He could invite travelers in, people that were traveling around Guatemala that wanted a purpose for a period of time. They wanted to be involved in a project or something that was going to benefit the environment. Now he set up this, you could call it a commune, or he set up this community, and everyone that comes along stays for a period of time. They've got people there for 6 months, a year, had no intention. They just wanted to work for a couple of months for something better, something greater than themselves, to give back to a community that needed it because of poverty, because of malnutrition, whatever it might have been. But these Western folk came in and offered skills that these people didn't have. So he's built
Mm.
this community, and he was quite open about, look, if I start laying down the law, if I start restricting people, if I start to bring in structure and strategies, if I have to start bringing rules and regulations that people have to get up at a certain time, contribute in a certain way, then this thing's going to be over before it even starts. And the way he's done it, he's embraced everyone's unique skills. He's embraced everyone's personalities. And that has bred to incredible abundance in this environment. People are allowed to grow and develop at their own speed, but he's embraced them. He's welcomed them in. He's brought them into this community, and it is thriving. And I think that's such an example to all of us that are trying to build something, to establish something. Is about the patience, the love, the kindness, the acceptance, but also working with people's quirkiness, uniqueness, and getting them to feel a part of something greater than themselves because they've been embraced.
Mm. It's a bit sad though that he divorced his wife because that was his number one peer,
Yeah.
and it's one of those things that we when we connect with someone, we stay together as long as we share purpose.
Mm.
And if we don't recognize that actually the benefits are of both winning or over,
Yep. You frozen?
we're
You're coming in and out. Are you back?
fully
So we've lost Ian, but we'll still keep going. So, Ian, if you can hear us, we were just talking about obviously community and the importance of shared value. And if anyone's watching this, it would be great to hear what you have to say about the conversations that I've just had about community, about what it means to be a part of something greater than yourselves and working with personalities that may not be aligned with yourself. So let me have it. I'm just looking down at the feed if there's any messages here in the live chat. So if you're watching, do feel free to share something. Do feel free to communicate and contribute to what Ian and I are discussing at the moment, because it's fascinating. And I go back to the story about what I've just shared about this chap called Mike, who's the American that lives in Guatemala and works out there. It was wonderful to see what he had developed and built over a period of time. He got a structure. They made buildings. It was wonderful. But they used local help, local resources as well, and brought them in to build something incredible. And now they're working to develop that and grow that. And it's benefiting the community. And more people are traveling from a faraway distance. If they're traveling in Asia, they get to hear about what he's doing, and they go out of their way to find him and seek this out because they want to be a part of this process. And that was wonderful to me, because it gets us to think about, well, if I'm growing something, if I'm pursuing something, if I'm building something, there is an importance, a need for community. And there is a need for that company around us that have that shared value, the shared principles, the shared idea, the shared passions and emotions that go with building something and establish something remarkable. And that is really important. So going back to what we discussed earlier on about someone sharing a story about their situation in their organization, and how that person didn't feel that they related, or that they were wanting to go in the same direction. We've got to start to communicate, haven't we? We've got to start to share what is on our hearts, so that the other person at least has the opportunity to reply and respond with, well, actually, I feel this, and I feel that we should be going in this direction, and this is what I think we should be doing. And by waiting, I suppose, by listening and by hearing and by communicating what is important to us, communicating what our passion and the desire is within us, getting across to the other person, well, these are the goals, these are the direction, this is the direction I want to go in, and give that opportunity, or that person the opportunity to respond. And that's when we can thrive in working together and building something great, when we're listening to others and bringing in others, and assembling the right people around you is also important. Those that will have a shared value, a shared purpose. So look, I hope you've enjoyed today. I'm sorry that we've lost Ian. If I don't think he's there. Let me have a look. No. So what we'll do is we'll end today's conversation and maybe pick this up in a couple of weeks' time. We can see if we can get that connection recovered. But thank you for all coming on and being a part of today's broadcast. Leave your comments on the Pioneers page. When you come to watch this, it would be great to have a greater discussion, a longer discussion around this area of shared values, the importance of that, and building a community, but also what it looks like when we encounter frustration because we're not seeing what we desire, what's on our heart come to pass, frustration because we're not seeing the plans that we had, or the goals